Hello everyone, this is the all-new VW Tiguan and here to see, can this stack up against the previous generation? We are
But this is just on a whole new level.
TVEC.
This is a performance car after all, so you'd expect it to be a lot more rough in terms of driving.
Reactions.
Yo!
Reviews.
Handmade engineering underneath this monster.
Messing around.
4 liters of fuel. Eugene, you're paying for this.
It's crazy. I'm not gonna have enough.
Like, comment, subscribe, enjoy. Okay guys, this is the new VW Tiguan, and if you're not sure if it's new or not, you can look at the front end and it immediately screams new. It screams RD, it screams new VW looks. And now starting off here, you have the really big VW badge with this really nice bar running across the entirety of the front bonnet, having the R badge there because this is the R line spec. Now you have these really nice DRLs that actually run across the entirety of the grille, just like they do on the back end of the car, which we'll get to in a second. You have your really nice IQ lights from VW, as well as something very, very special. If you guys look over here, this is actually a real vent that exits out over here. And I'm going to speak to you Porsche and you BMW and you Mercedes who can't do that, but somehow VW is doing it. Now coming to the front here, you have this really, really big grille, which is quite a big part of the front end now. On the older Tiguans, it wasn't like that. There was a lot of silver, a lot of different parts going through, a lot of segments in the actual front design. Now it's a lot more simple, but a lot more upmarket, a lot more mature looking. The car looks like he's matured. He's no longer a teenager, he's an early 20-year-old. So now coming to the side, you can see the really, really nice big 20-inch R-design wheels. You've got these new features on the actual car now, is these side pieces, the black outer piece on the skirt, which has become something very familiar in things like Mazdas and the VWs, and these more mid-size and crossover styled SUVs. Now coming along, you have a nice design of the side diffuser, as well as this really nice roof rack design over here to obviously store some things with your sunroof above, which we'll get to when we're inside. Now walking to the back end, you can see the IQ lights, and one of the big features from the rear now is that the actual light covers the entirety of the rear, whereas in the previous generation it did not. As you can see, it's got a really beautiful DRL on the back that actually spreads across the entirety of the car. If you don't know where this is from, you can actually have a look, or we'll show you later in the video. This is actually from the same sort of design style that VW has in their T-Cross, their T-Roc, and their Tiger, which they had this strong bar running along the side of the back, and now they've actually used that with their Touaregs as well. So it's become the whole, as VW like say, T-SUV range has got this really nice, really pronounced back end. Now you have this really nice back end diffuser here, which isn't real, it's just for looks with the nice chromy details. So as you can see, all your sensors, which you have all around the car, and obviously your badging to say that this is a Tiguan. So the car is actually really, really good looking from the outside and has matured quite a bit, especially to the previous generation. But let's head inside and see if the car has changed at all on the interior.
So guys, now that we're in the interior of the new Tiguan, it is such a grown-up environment in here. You can just see from the materials that as you see on the door cards over here with the soft touch, you have the stitching going across there that goes actually all the way around, even including onto the passenger side as well. And then you have this little display that actually is configurable with the infotainment system. I'll get to that in a minute, but I do have to say they really did step up their game in here, and thank you Volkswagen for getting back to normal settings on the steering wheel instead of haptic feedback, touch sensitive buttons, because honestly this is so much more better to use. Obviously in your gauge cluster you have your tachometer and your speedometer on the right hand side over there, and a lot of configurability. I mean, as I'm scrolling through, you can check your fuel range, your mileage, everything associated with what the car is doing and what you want in the car, such as your media, your nav. It's almost like they went to Audi and almost said, please give us a miniature version of what you guys like to make. Then looking onto the infotainment system over here, it is really, really grown up. I mean, looking at this, it's so much more larger. It almost actually reminds me of the Volkswagen Touareg, of which if you want to see that video, make sure you click the link up there. It's like they took that car and they miniaturize that version of it, because majority of the function that you get in this car you're gonna get in that car. So I won't go into too much detail. Majority of what I said was in that car already. Then looking over here, this is actually very, very nice. This is actually your volume button instead of your gear selector, because the gear selector now has moved onto the steering wheel. And actually, it feels very, very, very nice. Like, honestly, much better than most Mercedes-Benzes. Majority of everything else in here is very, very nice. You do sit up very, very high in here, much more higher than what you did in the previous generation. I'm very surprised by how much more higher feeling it feels since the previous generation. So now, let me pass it on to Matteo.
Okay, guys, so coming to the passenger seats, I just want to touch on the German feeling inside this car, the presence of Germany inside here. I mean, this is all really, really nice soft touch. As you can see, the stitching with that really nice blue piping, as Eugene mentioned. It even runs along the entirety of the dash, really well stitched along the side. And then you have your really nice IQ lights, which can change depending on your moods. Now, there's really nice soft touch here, as well as here, you've got this really nice feeling inside of your actual storage bin on the left here, which is actually quite a big storage bin. Now, in terms of storage, if you actually move to the glove box, which once again feels German, feels good, it's a decent size, very usable. And yeah, you've got quite a bit of storage in the car here. As you can see, you've got a place to put your phones there. And when you lift this up, you have another spot to put your phones and 2 Type-C chargers. You then come here, you have 2 cup holders over there. And if you lift this up, you have another 2 cup holders and some more general storage space. You also, weirdly enough, have coin holders and a card holder, which we haven't seen in a very, very long time. And it's in a very, very weird position to have, which is quite cool, quite usable. And then we actually want to move to this actual system here, where you can actually change, for instance, from volume all the way to your drive selects. And then it was letting us do it. I wonder if we can make it happen. There you go to atmospheres. And now you can change the atmosphere on the car by just selecting the toggle. So for instance, we go to blue. If you guys look very carefully, this will go from pink and slowly should start fading out and change to blue. If we go to blue now, as you'll see, the pink fades out. And lighting's not great, but trust us, it does go blue. Blue's just not the best lighting for the moment. Now the yellow is also quite striking. If we change it to the yellow, you should be able to see that change come up on the sides here. Unless the car just doesn't like us anymore and has decided it doesn't want yellow. But there is also a nice pipelining through here, which also displays some more lighting, as well as this and the side piece there. Another thing I want to touch on that's really nice from here is actually the door handle and the just general area. Not only is it nicely built, but it's very easy to access. It's not like out of your way or weird to pull. It's very easy to use. And overall, these seats, I must say, are just amazing. They are so plush and soft and super, super comfortable. Now, this is in the R design, or R line, I should say. Sorry. So these are the top of the range. You can see the nice blue piping with the nice stitching. And these are just super well made, super comfortable. And I have to say, more comfortable than the Cherry Tiggo 8 or Tiggo 7 even. Even though those look better because they look like Mercedes inside, these do feel more comfortable inside. So let's actually head to the rear seats and see how practical the car really is. Okay guys, heading over to the back now. I just want to mention something first, is that you actually do sit kind of low in the back here, or it might just be that these seats are really high up because you cannot see anything other than over there, which might not be a bad thing. I mean, you don't actually have to see in the front, but it is quite nice sometimes to have a bit of a view. I'm also actually seeing now you do have a frameless rear view mirror. And the big part to talk about is actually this really, really nice panoramic sunroof, which is all controlled by haptic feedback buttons on the touch or on the top over there, which I don't like. I don't like the haptic feedbacks. You kind of have to slide your fingers and grease it all up to get it going. But overall in the back here, these seats are more or less exactly the same as the seats at the front. And so they are just really, really good. The materials in here, in the back, aren't as good as in the front. You don't have soft touch on the back here. You have a gloss back over here. This is soft touch, again, scratchy plastic. So at the back here, the materials on the doors aren't as good as the materials on the front. The seats, though, are the main part that's really important, and they are really, really good. You have a really decent amount of headroom and a good amount of legroom. Supposedly, something like the Ford Territory had more legroom, and even something like a Cherry Tiggo 7 or Mazda CX-60 or CX-50 does have a little bit more legroom in the back, but it's not too much of a problem. You're not going to be needing more. And even so, if you want to have more boot space and also need the seats a little bit forward, you're actually able to manually adjust every single one of these seats in the back. Now, you do have a nice armrest here, which can fold away for you to have a third seat. And unfortunately, no cup holders there, but you do have some AC control and a little bit of storage here, and a decent amount again in the side door cards. So other than that, and your little bit of lighting you'll get in the back, which looks superb at night, there's not much to talk about in the back. So let's actually head to the boot and see how practical it is. Does the car stack up against its competition? And before I forget, because I'm going to forget about it, and we're going to do a TikTok on it as well, if you just look here, I don't know if you can see from there, but there is an iguana symbol there. And you guys might be thinking, what does an iguana have to do with the Tiguan? And then you look over to that door, and there's a tiger. And you think, what does a tiger have to do? Come on, guys, you just put the two words together. Tiger, iguana, Tiguan. And we thought that was just fantastic from Volkswagen. We love seeing Volkswagen have a little bit of fun. So let's head to the back now.
So moving to the back space of the new Tiguan, we have to check out our practicalities. Now we have also sampled the Tiguan R, which is the video that we did last year. So if you want to check out that video, make sure you click the link up there. And looking beside this, or looking at this, compared to that car, you can really tell like this is a much more larger car. You have a lot more space in here. You actually can retract the rear seats with these two levers on the side, and you get a lot more practicality going down. And then you also do have some cubby holes over here. I don't know what you're going to put in here, but I guess that's for something if you're going on like a long road trip, or you're going camping and then you want to put maybe like drinks or snacks inside. Then lifting up this partial shelf, you do have a spare wheel. That's always a nice function to have. You also do have your jack, and you also do have your wrench as well. And you also do have your tow bar, of which at the end you still do have to manually put it up. It's not like something like a Range Rover where it just automatically does it, because again, this is a Tiguan, so some aspects will be cheap at the end of the day. So we do fold it away. You have to put it. I'm really doing manual labor, you guys. I really am doing manual labor. So now let's go check out the engine. Another feature we forgot to talk about is actually the new function where you can just tap it without actually opening anything or swiping underneath. So if I do, that's really a nice function to have, especially when you have shopping and you have a lot of stuff in your hand and you don't want to be swaying side to side. And if I actually do it again and I walk away, that's cool to have.
We are now at the front end, and looking underneath the bonnet, what do we have in the new VW Tiguan? Well, underneath here we have a 1.4 liter TFSR 4-cylinder making 110 kilowatts of power. Now this is the same for all 5 ranges, which I'll get to in a second on the board there. But don't be scared, don't be worried, this isn't the only motor. We are set to get the 2-liter TFSR with DSG as well, which this is as well. You will also get a manual 2-liter, which will come in the future. Obviously, power terms, it does not stack up to rivals as well. Mazda's got some really good engines at the moment in their cars, and even Chery's doing really well with their engines as well. But again, the 2-liter will be more powerful if you're looking for performance bias, and unfortunately it seems like we probably won't be getting the Golf R either. I must say though, from personal experience, this engine is really good enough for day-to-day use. The power is sufficient, the torque is sufficient, and being able to get this in all-wheel drive also really helps. The car's comfortable, smooth, and with the DSG gearbox, the gear shifts are seamless, and the car just drives very well, drives very German. Now we will try and get a driving review, and we will be getting a driving review on its competition, specifically the Chery competition, and we'll be able to compare it more or less side by side in different videos for you guys to actually see. Now heading over to the board here, because I know a lot of you guys like to know the prices of these cars. This car is actually spec'd to 851,000 Rand, with a starting price around about that 650 to 700,000 Rand price now. Now you can see at the bottom here, there is a 1.4 TFSR, and I was mistaken, there is also a 2-liter TDI motor, but they still all make the same amount of powers. You do have the different DSGs that run throughout all of them, and you come starting off with the Tiguan, you go to the life spec, which is actually the one just outside right there. That is your midterm, and then you go all the way to the R design. Now if you want to see more information there, just pause the video when we showed it there. But overall, I think the engine is a really good shot, and I can't wait for the 2-liter. One more thing to say, VW, if you make an R, put a V6 in here. Look at all this space. If Audi's still putting V6s, just go knock on their door, take a V6 and put it in here. Just for a last shout, a last hurrah for Tiguan R. let's head to the conclusion.
So guys, now that we're at the end of this review, what do we think about the new Tiguan? Well, it really is a step up from the previous generation, and we will be getting a driving review of it in the near future. But here with this full in-depth review, we are really happy with what VW has done. Now, some of it is annoying, such as the touch-sensitive climate controls and getting everything in the infotainment system at times. But other than that, we really do love this car. Compared to some of its competitors, I think it really does stack up against the competition. And against its previous generation, I think VW really did knock out the park with this car. So you're gonna make sure you wanna keep seeing reviews like this. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Also, thank you again to Volkswagen 4Ways for giving us this amazing car. We did a lot of other cars with them, the Touareg, the Tiguan R, the M240i, and you guys all loved those reviews. So make sure you give this one a like as well. And as always, we'll see you for the next one. Bye-bye.